Good morning. You are listening to National Real Estate Auction Radio. I am your host, Doug Dennison. We are broadcasting from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida, the nation's oldest city, at WFOY 1240 AM studios. Through the power of the Internet, this program is being streamed worldwide on 1240news.com. The show will also be archived on RowAuctions.com, who are the sponsor of the show, and YouTube.com. We're going to be talking about real estate auctions, past auctions, upcoming auctions, different real estate markets across the country. We have lots of topics today. To help us out, we have several real estate and auction leaders calling in today, and let me go over the schedule and a few things about the people who will be calling in. We're going to have Stanley Tate. Stanley Tate is the CEO of Tate Enterprises and Tate Capital. He's the former RTC head. And what that means, RTC is the Resolution Trust Corporation. They are the organization and the government entity that took care of all the savings and loans bailout back in the early 90s. And he was in charge there, appointed by, selected by the father, Bush, President Bush, and did a fantastic job, then went on to do other things, and so we're looking for his call. We're also going to be hearing from Tom McGinnis. He's the COO of Iron Horse Auction Company in North Carolina. We'll have Rod Capus, who's Cushman Wakefield, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and then Tim Henry from Rowell Auctions in Moultrie, Georgia. Again, the purpose of this show is to provide an education experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country. And very, very pleased to have everybody calling in. We've had a great deal of success, and I'd like to talk about the fact that we have had probably 50 different VIP guests. And when I say VIP, we're talking about real estate leaders, auction leaders, government leaders, banking leaders. We've done an exceptional job in recruiting these VIP leaders to talk to us. Today, we have DS News, which is been promoting this show to have Stanley Tate on the show. DS News is one of the top websites and organizations in this particular business of foreclosures, REO, selling properties for banks, selling properties for government. They do an excellent job. It's dsnews.com. And if you look on the website and ask them to be on your email list, they will send you daily updates Monday through Friday telling you what is happening in the default servicing area. Also, they do the 5-Star Conference. The 5-Star Conference is an annual event in September. In fact, Stanley Tate was a speaker there several years ago when he talked about the RTC and this current downturn and how they were different and how they were similar. 5-Star Conference this year has President Bush, the son, and he's going to be the keynote speaker. We have a caller. Good morning. You're on the air.
Please continue to...
Hello?
Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. My name is Shamika. I'm calling from a recorded line to speak with Anthony. Petey.
I think you've got the wrong number, but thank you so much. Take care. Well, we've got somebody calling in, wrong number. And again, I was talking about the 5-Star Conference. Last time I went, which was a couple years ago, there were 5,000 people that attended. Real estate brokers, bankers, government officials, appraisers, real estate media. Very, very important. This year they have President Bush, which the son, our latest president, will be the keynote speaker, and also Rudy Giuliani, who's the former mayor of New York, and he's going to be a speaker at that too. So we're very impressed with the 5-Star Conference. You want to be there. You can go on 5starconference.com and get the information. It's FIVE starconference.com. That's, again, FIVE starconference.com. Let's go for a quick break.
MarkNet Alliance is a national, membership-based network of 41 auction companies. Our companies are successful auction professionals with proven track records and thriving businesses. The MarkNet companies have a staff of over 540 employees who are working hard every day to meet the goals of their clients during our ever-changing economy. MarkNet companies are able to achieve these goals through cutting-edge technologies and ever-growing investor pools. To view the hundreds of auctions currently being conducted, or for more information, visit marknetalliance.com.
Okay, we are back. Again, we're talking about the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. I'm your host, Doug Dennison. The mission statement is to provide an educational experience for listeners and a promotional format for auctions across the country. Since we are going to be talking about the government and how they're involved in the banking crisis today, couple of different things I want to discuss. Number one, there was President Obama did a very nice, I think it was a State of the Union address, and this was back in February, and then followed up with a budget address. I think it was in Baltimore, Maryland. And he talked about, in both of them, he talked about selling properties for the government. And that there's many unused properties. There's many office buildings, pieces of land, areas that have not been used for years. And of course, any property that you don't use, number one, it deteriorates, it lessens in value, and it costs money to keep working. And so what he said was that he was very interested in selling those properties. We have a caller. Good morning, you're on the air.
Doug?
Yes, hey, Stanley.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine.
Am I too early?
No, you're perfect. You're perfect. And thank you so much
I haven't been perfect for so many years. I don't know. I don't even want to count that far.
Not a problem, sir. I'm very thrilled to have you back on the show. As you know, from my first show, which was, I want to say it was like March 19th, you were my first guest on my first show, and I had really worked hard to kind of plead with you to be on that show because I really wanted to start it with the best, and you did a fantastic job. I had so many people call me and email and say you did a fine job. So,
well, I appreciate your comment. I think you're biased, but that's okay because we go back so many years.
Well, we do go back a whole bunch of years, and again, I know we've done this before, but we have different listeners this show. Tell us what you did for the RTC.
Well, essentially what we did was get rid of a large number of assets in banks that we took over. We had the ability under the enabling legislation, as you are well aware, called FIREA, to go in and actually take over a bank without any predisposition or any pre-approvals. We had that authority under the federal enabling legislation. And for the most part, that all was accomplished on a Friday afternoon, right after whatever institution we were involved with closed, so that there were no customers in the institution at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And with federal marshals and some of our own accountants and staff people, we'd go in on a Friday afternoon, usually sometime around 4 p.m., and actually take over the institution. we had federal court orders allowing us to do that. In many instances, the banks were anticipating our arrival, not particularly that day or that hour, but they knew they were going to get taken over. And the sum and substance of it, in individual banks, we took over 1,400. Actually, one out of close to 4.5. Every 4.5 savings loan, one of them was taken over by that were in the savings and loan category. We closed and took over, plus about another 250 commercial banks. So a total of about 1,400 banks.
How long did that take you, Stanley?
It took 5 years to complete all the closings, sale of the assets, and most of the other things. It was a 5-year program with 2 one-year extensions, depending upon whether or not we would file and make a request for the extensions. In actuality, we did. There were 2 one-year extensions, so the total program from beginning to end was 5 years plus the 2 1 years, so 7 years.
Oh, excellent. Tell us, what do you do now? I know you're in North Miami. You've run a business for many, many years, been very successful. What are you doing now, Stanley?
Well, essentially what I'm doing now is what I couldn't do while we were running the Resolution Trust Corporation. I wasn't allowed to buy any assets. So we didn't. We handled the sale of the assets of the banks we took over, because those assets were primarily real estate and primarily in various stages of development and or completed, where banks had closed on them, closed on the mortgages, foreclosed on the mortgages, took over the institution. So what we started to do a few years ago was to get involved in banks that had problem loans, and or the banks themselves had their own problems, and we bought the assets. What we decided to do was to put together a fund where the bank would be paid in cash for 100% of the debt, less whatever discount we were able to negotiate. And through those means, we bought quite a few $100 million worth of real estate in the last couple of years.
Well, it's always the best to buy low and sell high, I understand. So you're probably doing exactly that.
Well, I don't know low, and I'm not sure about high. All I can tell you is that, yes, we buy most of the assets from the institutions at a lower price than the amount of the debt. Now, the amount of the debt is usually compounded in more than the actual monies that went out, because it's interest and other expenses that are added to the total dollars. So assuming on an average it's a $15 million mortgage, by the time we get it and the bank is ready to dispose of it, it's probably closer to $17 million. So that's the total amount of debt on their books. That's what their write-off is when they sell it to us, for an average of a $17 million asset that we would be buying it at around maybe $9 million, maybe even $8 million. Somewhere between 50 and 60% of the total amount of the debt. But again, keep in mind, that's accrued interest, accrued expenses, and other incidentals, and in real dollar terms, big money.
Very big money.
But incidentals as far as the bank is concerned as it relates to the total debt. So successful, yeah, we've been successful in operating these properties, because what we do, first we buy it for cash. Then we handle, in most cases, our own foreclosure, because we really like to do our own title work, and we really like to do the foreclosure in a way that we think we ensure ourselves of having good and clear title. And that's a very important part of our operation. And then we operate the property, get it leased up, finish it if it isn't quite completed in construction. We have the ability to build out for the tenants, because, as you know, we're general contractors in most of the states in the country, and we're pretty well known in those areas where we've already done work, because we've never left a job uncompleted. We've never had a foreclosure. We've never been sued. We've been in business for over 65 years, and that's a pretty unusual record. So, plus the fact I knew most of the bankers because my RTC days,
Yep.
and as you know better than most, that's how I got involved in auctions through you. I never even knew what an auction was as it related to real estate, but we disposed of a huge number of properties because I'll refresh your memory. I said to you, I don't know what you're talking about when you said I can dispose of your property by doing an auction. I said, an auction? The auction artwork? What are you talking about? And you proved it to me, if you remember, years and years ago.
I remember, and it was a Miami Beach bank building.
That's right. It was on South Beach. It was a Miami Beach bank building where you talked me into doing things I said I would never do. And you said if you were wrong, you would do more than apologize. You'd get on bended knee.
Exactly.
But the truth of the matter is you weren't wrong. We sold the assets for more money than I ever thought was possible because based upon our own valuation, it was higher than we thought it was worth at the time of the sale. And the reason, as you so stated going in, was the excitement and the interest in an auction is different. It creates an atmosphere of more than one buyer, and all of a sudden it's like a play. It's not quite as real as when you're negotiating with a single buyer. In fact, it's nowhere near as real. So all of a sudden you got 4, 5, 6 players who wanted to buy the property at a lower price, and all of a sudden they're bidding against each other. And I saw it. I mean, I wouldn't have believed it. In fact, as you well know, I didn't believe it before it happened. Wow. I mean, I was dumbstruck. In fact, I said to you, if we didn't get the minimum amount, because you wouldn't let me even put a minimum on it, if we didn't get the minimum amount, you would never do any business with the RTC as long as I was there. And, of course, I ate plenty of crow because we sold the asset for a lot more money than we anticipated we would get. Not because it was worth less. That's not really even true. The truth is, we got more because there was an activity at play where there was several different buyers, and they were willing to pay even a higher price than they said they were willing to pay when they were negotiating on a one-to-one basis.
No,
So
you are so appreciative of that, and I'm so appreciative of you.
Listen, I'll never forget it. It was a learning experience. In my whole life, I knew nothing about auctions. You talked me into letting you do that one job with the threat that you people would never do another job for the United States government as long as I was running the RTC. And I don't have to tell you, after you did that one job, you got lots of others. And
yes,
for the most part, mostly successful, by degree, very successful, but some of them weren't quite as much as some of the others. But the truth of the matter is, in every case, we got as much money as the asset was really worth. And that's what this whole auction business is about. You're driving up the price because of the demand, because there's more than one buyer, and you're getting a fairer price from the standpoint of the seller.
Competition
and that
works.
becomes an important criteria when you are the seller.
Competition
or the
Yep.
buyer. Even when the buyer... most of the people who bought on auctions did well. I mean, they did well. Some of them walked away saying, well, I paid a little bit more than I thought I was going to have to. But you know what? When the market turns and assets start going up to their real value, invariably the auctions have a limit. You know it and I know it. When they reach that limit, they don't go any higher. That's the top bid, and no one tops it. It's as simple as that. And that top bid is the guy who gets the property. In most instances, they do well. I mean, I'm sure there were instances where they overpaid, but not many.
Well, thank you, Stanley. Listen, you have been going up to Washington a great deal, and of course this country is in an economic crisis, a banking crisis, a real estate crisis.
All of the above.
All of the above. What do you see in the future, and is there a fix of any kind, in your opinion?
Well, future is a strange word because it really needs to be defined. Let me just simplify it. Short-term future, I see a continuation of some significant real estate problems with values that are still going to be at a lower level than the amount of the debt, and that's going to continue because we still have an overhang of inventory, notwithstanding the fact, to some extent, some areas have really sold a substantial amount of inventory, and they're a little better than they were, for sure. However, generally speaking, the inventory levels are still much higher than the demand, but there's a greater problem. The bigger problem is there's no money. There's no money available for the individual investor to buy a piece of property and get a financing package. And as long as the financing packages are not as available as they should be, the amount of the sales are going to be highly restricted because the buyers, for the most part, have to come up with a heavier amount of down payment or capital in order to purchase the asset to begin with.
Well, it's tough times, but hopefully there's solutions down the road. You have been very, very involved in charitable work and doing good work for the people for many years. In fact, that's how we got involved. It was more than 30 years ago when I was with the YMCA in Miami that you would write me a check to help the kids of the North Dade YMCA, and we've been friends and business associates since then. The Florida Prepaid College Fund, you started this years ago.
22 years ago.
22 years ago. Thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Millions. We have an
Millions.
excess of 1 million, maybe 200,000 kids in the program who have still not graduated from high school.
Well, I'm going to do a little something different, and we've got about 2 minutes before the break, but the Florida Prepaid College Fund, and again, you're Stanley Tate, the head of Prepaid College Fund, speaking on the radio. I have my son here who just graduated from University of North Florida. He's in the studio, and he was helped out by the Florida Prepaid College Fund, and he wants to thank you personally.
Well, what a pleasure.
Mr. Tate, I want to thank you, and on behalf of all the students out there, I mean, great things, and we wouldn't have the opportunity without you, so we appreciate all that you've done.
Well, let me tell you, last year we had 43,000 students in college in the Florida Prepaid College Program. This year we're going to have close to 60. And the truth of the matter, for the most part, many of them would not have been able to go to college because of the affordability issue with their families. That's the whole concept of the Prepaid College Program. It was to provide the financial means to allow a child, through the intellect of their parents or grandparents, to have bought for them a Stanley Tate Florida Prepaid College Program contract, which is a contract with the state of Florida, hopefully bought when the child is born, which guarantees the cost of tuition and other things that are a variety of different things that can be purchased in such a contract.
Stanley, we're going to have to go to a break. Can you hold on for a couple minutes?
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to be on your program and to be able to talk to you. And by the way, your son sounds like a chip off the old block.
Well, thank you. He just graduated with a sports
What a
management
wonderful thing.
degree.
Isn't that great
It
when
is
you can
wonderful.
think that you have a child now that's graduated college, and if the Florida Prepaid College Program helped accomplish that?
Exactly. We're going to go on a
It's time to visit the St. John's Flea Market. Great deals every weekend. Every weekend there's more, too. Great bargains and great food and those great deals at the St. John's Flea Market. Get off I-95 at State Road 207. That's I-95 at 207. And if you want to be a vendor, hey, booth rentals start at only $10 a day. Churches and charities, you can get a free booth 2 days a month. And for everybody else, there's always great deals at the St. John's Flea Market. Call them up, 824-4210, or go to stjohnsfleamarket.com. It's happened to all of us. The car door slams shut, your keys are in the ignition. Ouch! Or maybe you just locked yourself out of your house. Papa Lock of St. Augustine is your lockout specialist. Plus, Papa Lock is your expert in keys made for most cars, commercial locksmithing, and rekeying your car or home. Call 940-0000 today. 940-0000.
No matter where you are, when you need a little help, call Papa Lock. Oh, yeah!
scrap jewelry, dental gold, sterling silverware, silver dollars, platinum. If you're sitting on a few gold necklaces and an old class ring or a coffee can filled with old coins, bring it to the holiday aisle at St. Augustine Beach for the Ohio Valley Refinery Reclamation Drive for instant cash. And this week, anybody can sell direct to the Ohio Valley Refinery. It's open today through Saturday at the Holiday Aisle, formerly the Holiday Inn, 860 A1A Beach Boulevard at St. Augustine Beach.
I've just got to get into an exercise routine now that the kids are back in school.
Why don't you check out Atlantic Beach and Tennis Club?
So, you think I'm fat?
No, of course not.
It's my thighs, isn't it?
It's just that now, in addition to the clay tennis courts, the outdoor and indoor pools, and all the other great amenities, Atlantic Beach and Tennis Club also has a women's-only workout area, and it's really affordable.
I had no idea you found me so unattractive.
Honey, I was just trying to help.
Guys, instead of trying to tell them yourself, let News Talk 1240 tell her. Atlantic Beach and Tennis Club, Ocean Trace Road, St. Augustine Beach, 471-0909.
I am here with Letty Bozard and Jeff King from Bozard Ford. We are running a radio spot that also has a TV ad that goes with it. And gosh, it's just particularly the TV spot with the video that of St. Augustine, St. Johns County. It's really one of the best ads I've ever seen.
Well, thank you, Chris. We are very proud of it.
I think the response from people in the community has just been fantastic, and we really appreciate it. We love it when somebody comes to us and mentions that they like what we're doing and they like our spots and they like the stuff that we're doing in the community. We have people every day that talk to us about our ads, and then when we ask them if we can do the service work on their car, the answer is almost always the same. They say, we didn't know you could do the work. Well, we do work on all makes and models of vehicles, imports and domestics. It's very simple for us to do. We have trained technicians, and we would love to earn St. Augustine's business. So come on down and see us at the Quick Lane at Bozard Ford.
Okay, we're back. This is the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. We have Stanley Tate on the air. Stanley, are you still there?
I certainly am.
Well, I apologize. It does it automatically at the half hour. It goes into a break, and I kind of cut you off midstream there. We were talking about the Florida Prepaid College Fund. The whole idea was started by you. The Florida legislature actually named the fund after you, and I know you get parents thanking you all the time, but I thought it was nice to have a student and my son incidentally here to thank you, and again, we appreciate it. It's a wonderful thing. We started when Stephen was probably 2 or 3 years old and paid for the fund. And I don't know the figure, but I'm going to say it was something like $5,000, $6,000 back then.
It was probably somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 if it was that many years ago. And the truth of the matter is, I don't think there's a single parent who purchased a contract, or grandparent, or whoever purchased it for the beneficiary who didn't recognize the value at the time of the purchase, because it wasn't only the dollar amount of the value, it was the value in ensuring a college education for the individual beneficiary, for the child at the time of birth or very close to the time of birth, which meant that the parent knew that the college tuition was paid for.
Well, it's a very important thing you've done, and I know you're very into education. In fact, we've sat around tables before, and you've said that education is the most important thing we can do as a country right now to better ourselves and to look for the future. Is that, I'm paraphrasing, but is that...
Well, it's the truth. Doug, the truth of the matter is what the whole program was designed to do was to give Florida the percentage of the highest number of educated students in the United States, and what an attraction that would be to businesses who would want to come down and reopen or open a new business in the state of Florida, because they had a choice of an educated population. And I couldn't think of a single thing that was more important to make Florida the hallmark of the United States for educational needs to be met by their students, which would attract new businesses into the state. And the fact is, it did. It really did.
Well, it did, and And you're in the education business just like you're in the banking business and the real estate business. As a recent graduate, what do you tell Stephen and other students that have just come out of college? What advice can you give them?
Well, these times are a little bit more difficult, as you know better than most. It's a cyclical kind of a thing because the investment community differs from time to time. I mean, we're in a low ebb market now, and there's a recession going on, and all kinds of other economic problems. But notwithstanding those problems, if you have an education, you will be able to find work. It may not be exactly what it is you want or even have been trained to, but you have a better opportunity to get a job than the guy who doesn't have a college education. That is an absolute. When I went to college, it was a high school education. The big kids who finished high school had a better opportunity to be employed than the kids who didn't, because a high percentage really quit in high school. Mostly Florida in those days was an agricultural community, right, rather than a large number of businesses. So with an education, you can do more. And my guess is your son, if he's got any of the intellect that his father had, absolutely, for sure, will be able. I think he was in sports management.
Yes.
Right. And that's a unique new field. I mean, I'm a trustee of a university that offers a master's degree in sports management, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger involvement. So what does it mean? It means he's going to have to go to the various teams that have offices where and around where he lives and see whether or not there's some kind of a job. It may not be exactly in management, but he'll get his foot in the door. That's what he's got to do. He's got to start at a level that is beyond his imagination. It's even below what he envisions all of that years of school taught to him. But eventually, that intellect will give him a better opportunity to grow with the job. And to say, my recommendation is get a job in your own field. Stick with it. It may be struggling in the beginning, but he's young. He's not married yet. His responsibilities are far less than they eventually will be. And it's going to take a little bit more time because he's graduating, as I said before, in a poor economic climate. But that'll change. You and I know. We've lived through these ups and downs on several occasions. This is a little worse than some of the others, but I've been through too many of them to not know that eventually the sheer growth of the state of Florida will be the creative force that's going to bring about the change and bring it back at some point in time to where it was when it was really booming.
Well, hey, thank you so much. Just like you did, hard work and initiative pays off.
It does.
Stanley, thank you so much for being on the show. The folks from Five Star Conference have been promoting this particular interview because they knew that you were going to be on there because you were a big speaker at the Five Star Conference a couple years ago and did a fantastic job. Do you know who's going to be the speaker this year? It's going to be President Bush, and also
I know. I spoke to the president. He told me he knew that I spoke there because he spoke to me. He was going to try to be on last year, and I spoke to him a couple of times. But anyway, he'll be an outstanding speaker.
Yes.
It should be an outstanding event. And the truth of the matter is you get a very sophisticated crowd who understand to a greater extent than most others as to what these difficult times are all about.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, Stanley Tate, the former head of the RTC, entrepreneur, and a great
and a good friend of Doug Dennison.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. All right, Stanley, you take care.
Thank you. Tell your son I said thank him so much, and good luck to him, and stick to it. That's the whole issue.
I'm listening. Thank you. Will do. Nice talking to you.
Okay, Doug. Take care. Congratulations on the program. Anytime I can be of help, just give me a holler.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay. Stanley Tate. Words about the economy, words about the education of our country. Very, very, very pleased. By the way, we had a caller in the middle, and because of the length of the interview, I apologize to that caller. Hopefully, he'll call back in, and we'll get him back on. Again, we're talking about real estate auctions. This is the National Real Estate Auction Radio Show. It is broadcast from beautiful St. Augustine, Florida. And the mission statement is to provide an educational experience for listeners in a promotional format for auctions across the country.
MarkNet Alliance is a national, membership-based network of 41 auction companies. Our companies are successful auction professionals with proven track records and thriving businesses. The MarkNet companies have a staff of over 540 employees who are working hard every day to meet the goals of their clients during our ever-changing economy. MarkNet companies are able to achieve these goals through cutting-edge technologies and ever-growing investor pools. To view the hundreds of auctions currently being conducted, or for more information, visit marknetalliance.com.
Good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Doug. It's Brad Kappas.
Hey, Brad. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Well, good. Hey, thank you so much for calling in. Tell us where you're from and who you work for.
Well, it's Brad Kappas here. I work with Cushman & Wakefield in their Fort Lauderdale office, and specialize in multifamily investment sales or brokerage.
Well, how long have you been in it? And tell me a lot about Cushman & Wakefield. What kind of firm is it? How large? Where are they located? Etc.
Sure. Well, Cushman is actually a global firm. They have offices all over the country. They're one of the world's largest privately held real estate services firms. They handle all types of real estate services, ranging from brokerage to leasing to management. And in the States here, they're headquartered in New York. And in Florida, we have 4 main offices. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. We have an office in Miami, also in Orlando and Tampa. And then we have satellite offices in Jacksonville and Fort Myers. And we handle all real estate services out of all of those offices. And I'm in the multifamily group, specializing in the sale and brokerage of large multifamily properties, typically rental apartments, large condominium properties, and also residential land. And within our group, there are 6 or 7 brokers in Florida, plus a full support staff.
Tell us about the multifamily market in your area right now.
Well, it's exciting for the first time in a few years. I mean, we've all been going through this economic recession, but we've been fortunate lately, in particular in the multifamily market, to be among the favored investment groups for a number of reasons. But first and foremost, the rental apartment market here in southeast Florida, as well as much of the state, is performing much better than it had been some years past. Occupancies are very high, particularly down here, Dade and Broward County, probably in the mid to high 90s in terms of occupancy. Palm Beach is a little lower, but still north of 90%. And rents are beginning to grow, and it's really the first time in a number of years we've actually seen real year-over-year rent growth in rental apartments. And the prognosis is good. Most of the published reports out there are showing some rent growth through the next 3 or 4 years, and some of those reports are projecting multi-year rent growth 5 to 6%. So that's attracting tons of investment capital that had for several years been afraid of South Florida, mainly because of some of the overbuilding in the housing market.
Right, the condos, sure.
Yeah, but the investment market now is almost without exception focused on South Florida. So that's got us pretty busy.
I would say. And from my understanding, hedge funds had raised a whole bunch of money and kind of sat on the sidelines for several years, and now it's almost time that the length of their fund is over. So I'm going to guess that they're going to be running out and looking for deals like you have.
Yeah, many of those hedge funds had very high internal rate of return requirements. They were looking for steals, and to a great extent, that those real opportunistic buys just were not available in the market.
Mm-hmm.
In many cases, lenders who most anticipated would just wholesale and dump properties were a little bit more strategic in their monitoring or in handling of some of the assets they took control of. And as a result, a lot of that hedge fund capital never got deployed. And to the extent it's still out there, they are modifying their investment criteria and focused. They still want to be here, but they're accepting lower yields, so they're paying a little bit higher prices. And they've sort of expanded their horizons to include more conventional real estate acquisitions.
Very, very good. Now, what are a couple of the listings that you have or what are available in the Florida area that you might want to talk about to get some people who are interested to give you a call and contact you? Because as you know, the listener base for the show is number one, investors, real estate agents, real estate media, banks, government officials, auctioneers. Do you have a couple of things you want to kind of highlight so that we can get people to give you a buzz?
Well, sure. The good news and maybe the bad news for this show is a number of the properties that we actually have listings on are under contract off the market at the moment. So we're excited about that, and that's a good sign for us. We do have a new land listing, a residential land listing in downtown West Palm Beach that we will be launching soon. And that property was originally contemplated as a residential site. It can accommodate, at least at the original approvals, for a little over 150 units that would be in a mid-rise configuration. And that can also accommodate office. We think it's a pretty good medical office site. And it's a little north of the downtown CBD on the Flagler Drive corridor. And then we are looking on behalf of clients, we just don't have them formally available yet, at a number of residential sites that will accommodate traditional rental apartment properties, and also several rental apartment properties of different class categories ranging from Miami all the way up through St. Lucie County. Those are not quite yet available to be marketed. The owners haven't made a sell or hold decision yet, but they're on the horizon. So, but we can certainly, any guests who have questions, we can certainly help them get acclimated with the market. Of course, our inventory changes daily, and my counterparts in the other major markets in Florida always have product available as well. And we can direct your folks to those professionals or to our website, which has all of our formal listings on it.
Well, I keep on getting emails of new listings and new sales from you and your partner, Rosendo Cavero. So you guys are doing good. Before I forget, give us your contact information. How can people reach you?
Yeah, my office telephone number is 954-377-0505, and I'm always available by email as well. My name is Brad, or the email address is brad.cappas, C-A-P as in Paul, A-S, at cushwake.com, C-U-S-H-W-A-K-E.com.
Very nice. Now, before I let you go, there was a thing called fractured condo developments, and number one, maybe you can explain that term and let us know, are those deals gone now, or because I know you were involved in several of them?
Yeah, they're not gone. There are fewer of them available than there were, but in essence, many people are familiar with the term condo conversion. Rental apartment properties were bought by investors who converted them to condos and sold the units out individually. In some cases, that process did not get completed, so a portion of the units are unsold and are now being operated as rentals. So we call that a fractured condo conversion. And in the same sense, a new condo development that only got partially sold and the those properties, those units in bulk to investors, and they've become very popular. There's a very broad. It took the market a couple of years to really get to understand that animal, how to invest in it safely, and what the exit strategy was. The investment community really has embraced the concept now, and we're actually in the market with one now in Pompano Beach. And I guess I misspoke. That is not technically under contract at the moment, but we're getting close. It's called Breezes in Palmyra on Atlantic Avenue in Pompano Beach, and the investment community is they understand them. They're operating. They're able to rent them profitably, and the exit strategy for the bulk investor is to sell the units off at some point in the future at a higher price than they might sell an otherwise similar rental apartment property on a per unit basis.
Is this a good time for an investor to jump in, or did he miss the boat, or does he need to wait another 6 months? And I know that's a crystal ball kind of thing, but you've been in business a long time. You've been through ups and downs. In fact, you and I have done some deals together. What do you suggest for an investor right now?
Well, I'm a real estate broker, so it's always a good time.
Of course.
But no, it is really a good time to buy rental apartments, in my opinion, today, because although rents are beginning to increase, they still have quite a ways to go to make up the ground they lost through the recession. So there's plenty of room for rent growth. So even if you bought a property today at that was stabilized and you didn't make any improvements to it, you just rode the tide up, you're probably over a several-year period. If published projections are correct, you're probably going to realize 10 to 12% rent growth over the next several years. Well, that's a good situation. We have a very limited pipeline of new development right now. That's going to change, but at the moment we have some barriers to entry to the market. So I really do believe it's a good time to invest. Plus, interest rates remain low, and you can get pretty attractive financing for rental apartment investments, which is not available in all other product types. So it's absolutely a good time to be looking. And no, the deals are not gone. It's not too late. I think it's a great time.
Brad, thank you so much again. You and your partner, Sandra Cabrero, and I have done, I think, more than $60 million worth of auction deals together. I look forward to working with you again. Brad, thank you so much for your call. You have a great weekend.
Oh, the pleasure was mine. Thank you for having me.
Take care. Good morning. You're on the air. Well, we just missed him, but hopefully he'll call back. Again, we had, that was Brad Capus from Cushman & Wakefield in the Fort Lauderdale area. He's a multifamily expert, and he's been a leader in that area for a long time. Our sponsor is Rowell Auctions. They are a national real estate auction firm that started in 1936. They do online auctions, on-site auctions, and ballroom auctions. We have that caller back. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Doug. Tim Henry.
Hey, Tim Henry. How are you doing, sir?
Just fine. Yourself?
Well, good. You are with Rowell Auctions. Tell us a little bit about Rowell Auctions.
Well, Rowell Auctions Company is real estate and personal property auction company, and I say that sort of loosely in that we do all sorts of auctions. We've done estate auctions, land auctions, online auctions, ballroom auctions, and we have our corporate office in Moultrie, Georgia. We have an Atlanta, Georgia office, a New Jersey office, and a California office. So we have really expanded. I've been with the company for November will be my 18th year with the company.
Tim.
And what an expansion we've been through in the last 18 years. It's been something.
Well, tell us what Rowell Auctions has to offer right now.
Rowell Auctions.
Do they have any auctions coming up that investors and buyers can sink their teeth in and go onto your website?
Yes, we do. We've got 48 acres coming up in Ben Hill County, Georgia. That's a real nice piece of property. We've got 20, and that is on June the 25th. July the 5th through the 19th is an online auction that will be coming up in Columbus, Georgia, and our bid center is actually going to be in the Columbus Marriott there in Columbus, Georgia. That will be 23 rental homes that are being rented now, and that will be at absolute auction. You can bid there at the site or online. Terrific rental income coming out of those properties right now as we speak. We've got a collector car collection coming up online, as well as a Cessna 182 plane coming up. That'll be totally online. Someone can sit at their home and bid on that. And then after that, from July the 26th, on July 26th, we've got 70 acres in McDuffie County, and these is for a very big client of ours. We've got 23 acres and 5 poultry houses coming up in Madison County, 24 acres in Jackson County, 6 acres in Gordon County, 50 acres in Crawford County, 26-acre poultry farm coming up in Taylor County. And then we have a very beautiful home on Lake Blackshear, Flint River property up on Lake Blackshear here in Georgia. So very, very busy time coming up right here in Georgia.
Well, tell us, you have done in 18 years so many different auctions, and we've got about a minute left in the show. Does it seem like there's more internet auctions now?
Oh, yes, way more internet auctions now. I would say right now probably 75% of what we do is internet online auctions, or a conglomeration of the two where we are on site and internet. I just finished up one this week that 5 years ago we would have never even thought about doing it online. And we did it online. It was a commercial piece of property and farm right here in Moultrie, Georgia. And we had people from New Mexico bidding on this property. So it just opens up so many avenues to have that online auction. And, yes, we feel like that's the way to go right now.
Tim, we're just about out of time, but give us the RAW website and an 800 number. People can call, contact you for further information.
All right, you can go to www.rowauctions.com, and I'll spell that ROWELLAUCTIONS.com, or you can call us on our toll-free line. That's 800-323-8388.
Great. Tim, thank you so much for a great call. Good luck with you and your auctions, and you have a good weekend.
You too, Doug. Thank you very much.
You bet. Take care.